done. We've got our build order down. We have our mastery points down. I'm doing on Rich Decor Hall to show basically how to push with static defense. How to make Karax a viable offensive static defense commander. What I'm basically going to be doing, again, my normal build is just going to be that way. We're going to go with the 15 Nexus. And then from there, we'll get a couple cannons for defense in the very beginning. We don't really need a lot of them, to be honest. The Spear of Doom can do a lot of work anyways, so we don't really need to have a bunch of things to take care of that early on. But the plan is going to be warp in a pylon, warp in a sentry, or sorry, an energizer, warp in a monolith, warp in a battery, and then maybe cannons in front of that. And just kind of use that as your basic strategy.
Insufficient minerals.
What was that?
Corporal Faraday reporting into the sit rep.
That's going to be the basic idea.
Demon's forces are summoning void shards all across the city. We're looking at
not a lot of people know how awesome Karax can be at pushing locations with static defense. I'm just going to rally my 15th one over here.
Chrono boost online. Our structure should now operate at a greater efficiency.
Again, you're not going to be able to hit both.
Not enough energy. More minerals required.
Make sure you get your cannon, sorry, your pylon, then you can start building more probes. Stay on top of your probes from there. Make sure you're not losing out on any ability to make probes. Get my forge going. Now, depending on the mission, of course, you don't have to make your forge first. I still prefer to. But you can go for a gateway if you want. If you really feel like you have an overwhelming desire to get a little bit higher on your tech tree faster, but in the end, you're not really missing out on too much. And you see, I still have a decent amount of energy, so I could deal with this next or this coming attack wave without it. But I will make a couple cannons here. It'll help delay for my partner to get out the infest structure if he needs it. And roaches.
We're facing an enemy surge.
And don't be afraid to like sparingly use your Spear of Doom. You don't need to just mash it as much as possible. It's okay to actually like pick your shots. You're actually going to be doing a lot better if you do so. This next pylon is going to be actually over here, so that I can start working on my rocks. Make sure I get gateway going, because you want to finish up your tech if you can. Kind of the earlier the better, to be honest. So long as you're making time to make probes, you are going to be pretty much set. Once you basically hit saturation on a base, or even maybe a little before that, you can start setting 2 probes, or having 2 probes queued up, but you never really want to go any higher than that. Because if you go higher than that, you're actually probably going to be missing on timings and making buildings. Or missing out on, you know, making a probe or something like that.
Best of luck out there.
My infested will tear it down.
Like I said, in this one we're going to be pushing out with the
We should move to
static defense, so that's how I'm going to be making sure I do everything here. I do have a, you know, probably decent allies, a Stukov. Even bad players can do well with Stukov because he's a really good commander.
Our allies are engaged in battle.
Alright, so I'm going to start making sure I get all the upgrades going. And I'll do
Activated.
so I'm going to start by making more you.
Quickly now.
Okay, forgot to make my sentry first.
Upgrade complete.
And then one of you.
Doing the happy dance. Doing the happy dance.
That would have made it a lot better for me, to be honest, if I would have made the
Enough energy.
We share your
yeah, rally to victory. Yeah.
Not enough Vespine.
I forgot that I didn't set my gateway onto warp gate early enough, so that messed with it a little bit. So we'll do it again. So pylon, warp in a sentry, make a monolith, make a battery. And I like to try to turn the
We cannot warp there.
sentry into phase mode, because there are certain
Cannot warp there.
like hybrid that will turn off a pylon. And if you can avoid that happening, you're going to be really well. Stukov mouse zoning. I think I could do that. You know, I actually I put up a Reddit post a while ago asking people if they have any suggestions for co-op mutations and kind of just showing them the list that I already had going. And somebody wanted me to do a brutal mission with, I don't know, whatever commander. With just mouse. And I was thinking I could do it, but there's certain commanders that would just, I think that would suck. Doing the same thing again.
Our allies are engaged in battle.
But see, this actually is a really good combo that can stay alive pretty much, not indefinitely, of course.
I call this the apocalypse.
Our upgrade has finished.
Monolith. Battery.
We
Cannon.
cannot
Cannon.
warp there.
Stuff like this over and over again. If you feel like you've reached a point where you can actually push and do the damage you want to do, then you can start actually fortifying the location. Like right here is probably going to be a good spot to start fortifying so that I can make a nice stand later on. Certain missions don't have that, but most of them do.
And we keep sending them back.
До свидания.
Yeah, I can't wait to see who the new commander is going to be. It's going to be really awesome.
Base is under siege. Our allies are engaged in battle.
I kind of chose this mission to do because I will have a location to push, to kind of fortify.
I will see
But from this
the
point
enemy
forward, I don't
here.
really need to
Numerous
have
void
anything
shards detected.
specific
We need to
happen.
destroy them
I will
ASAP.
just try to like push forward.
I have detected an incoming enemy attack.
Yeah, no, I guess that could make sense. I mean, I think the weakest point
Our allies are engaged
of
in battle.
Stukov, if there was a weak point for Stukov, can be detection. And I'm not trying to say that like it's the worst thing, because honestly, you could just use Brood Queens. I think they're called Brood Queens. Brood Queens will do all the detection you need.
But if you can,
But I think for the average person, or the average like kind of newer player, detection is probably the hardest thing to deal with as Stukov. You still have the ability to just move through things and just deal with everything that way. But if I had to pick something that was his worst feature, it would probably be detection. Because so many people just A-move or top command move as Stukov.
Our allies are
But that would be
engaged in
probably the
battle.
hardest, the thing that I would say would be the most difficult. But again, we're going to push forward.
Research
Cannon, sorry, pylon, monolith, battery, and usually one or two cannons. especially later on in the mission when you have a little bit more money to do each push. When you're pretty strict, when you don't have a lot of cash, it's better to start off with just these 3. Because then you can use these to kind of pull aggro from things.
Our allies are engaged in battle. We can.
And that's enough to kind of push a spot. When you feel comfortable, make sure you get 2 extra cannons, because that always helps. And this is enough to basically push any position. I usually try to wait till I have around 700-800 and make sure that my warp gate's off cooldown. But, you know, like I said, one of the most important parts is always going to be the Energizers. The Energizers are what turn this mediocre DPS into a very high DPS. And don't ever feel afraid of using the spear to help push a location.
Are engaged in battle.
Alright, so we're going to push forward again. I don't have enough yet to finish it up. You need 300 plus 100 plus 100 plus, I believe it's 75? No, I think it's a little less than that. So like I said, I usually try to wait to around 700-800, because then in the process of actually building everything is when you'll get the rest of your cash.
That didn't last long, did it?
Especially if you plan on making all the cannons. Maybe.
Our allies are engaged in battle. We cannot warp there.
Like I said, you don't need an army as Karax. You can push everything with just this.
We cannot warp there.
Everything you need. Right at the tip of your fingers. Alright, so I'm gonna go try to deal with the bonus. Unfortunately, there is no necessarily easy way to deal with the bonus. That is one of the small things as Karax, that this specific bonus isn't necessarily the best thing to do without an army. But also keep in mind too that you don't want to just run your carriers into the bonus. I know a lot of people that will just go straight for the bonus and just let all their carriers die after the first basically run by that it has, because you know how it does the little charge. Every time you attack the bonus with the carriers, make sure that as soon as you see the little red line, you press stop on your carriers and you move them away, and then you can save all of your interceptors, so you don't just lose all of them right away.
We must be ready.
Bonus objective expiring.
I just want to save 50.
Are under attack.
Piracy in the skies above Core Hall? Not on my watch.
I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I push over here to get the other bonus. And again, I'm just going to be saving up a little bit to get that done. Again, the formation is pretty simple. With Chrono Wave, when you're doing a static defense build, I don't know, I try to make sure that I line up a couple upgrades with it. But once you get to the end, I mean, it's really just a matter of when your partner wants it, or if they even need it. And it's better to actually have more than one SCV, or sorry, probe with you if you want. It helps make it a little easier to push a location, because they don't have to worry too much about like losing everything. Don't feel obligated to push too far in, because it's nice to have a location where you know you can leave your probes behind and they're not just going to die.
Don't learn, do they? Commanders, it's time to educate them.
Our upgrade has finished.
And that was because I didn't have the Energizer with me.
In battle. Chrono boost activated. Our structure should research and create units much more quickly now. In battle. Our base is
I
under
have been
siege.
working on something new. Enjoy.
This is why I like to have 2 gateways, but I was just showing off using one. You don't need to have super high APM or anything like that. Oh, I'm super excited about the co-op replay. To finally be able to look over builds and stuff like that, or look over specific timings, all that stuff.
Infestation does have its strengths, you know.
Again, we're slowly pushing forward.
It appears the enemy is advancing. Prepare to meet them in combat.
Our allies are engaged in battle. Our allies are engaged in battle.
It's so easy to build up Spirit of Doom energy, too. If you are trying to take out the bonus...
Base is under siege.
Okay, still have more. Try to spread out your stuff as much as possible so you don't lose it all to just one of these.
More minerals required.
That's the thing about
Alright,
the
so I'm going to try to push the rest of this.
Even in a crisis, our rule of law holds firm.
And you can see just little small areas where I chose to make a stand. And then another area just a little bit further ahead where I chose to continue that stand.
Our base is under siege.
She's far enough in, I can go. You see, no detection here. Just running blindly into lurkers and everything else. I'm gonna do that. I normally, again, I would do the monolith first, but because I wanted to get some extra detection out.
Insufficient. There are not enough.
Now that's what I like to see. Void Shard terminated.
That is the one thing that I wish that they would do something about, is the DPS on those locusts. They're higher than Abathur's DPS. Now this is one of those locations where I probably should have started off with the Purifier Beam. But I didn't have a cooldown, and I wasn't super worried about it.
Chrono boost activated. Our structures should research and create units much more quickly now.
Come around. Ooh, it's more than enough than you need to kind of deal with anything. Now again, there's certain locations where if I was trying to take that with just this, I wouldn't do that. If I was going to try to do this all by myself, I'd have a nice defense of probably like 3 or 4 monoliths, probably 5 batteries, and maybe like 3 or 4 cannons. And then I would slowly try to push up after I made sure that maybe starting off with a Purifier Beam or something like that, try to deal with it.
Neutralized another Void Shard. Well done.
That way you're kind of guaranteed to always have a spot to go back on. Because one of the worst things you can do with trying to go for static defense pushes is not having a spot close enough to your probes where you can run back to, so you don't lose your entire static defense. Because if you're too far forward with your static defense and you lose it all, you're kind of screwed at that point. Yeah, I play Stukov a lot, actually. I play all the commanders. But anyways, again, I'm not going for the highest kill count or anything like that. But you can see that Karax has a really, really high, a really fast rate of saturating. So he actually can get saturation really fast because he can kill the rocks faster than any commander. Alarak is probably second, but he also, see, with Karax, you sacrifice Spirit of Doom Chronos to get faster expand. You don't necessarily need to do that with Alarak. Anyways, I'm Hunter 5. Thanks so much for watching.